Sometimes it's good to revisit the lessons that we've learned in life and keep them fresh. And reading today's gospel, I couldn't help but think of a mission trip, the first mission trip I took with college students to the mountains of Peru. And riding in the bus with them, I found that all of the defense mechanisms that I had built as an adult became worthless. And nobody cared that I was a priest or that I was a pastor or that I was the moderator of the Curia or that I was the right-hand man of the hand man for the bishop and ran all the administration of the diocese. And none of those things mattered. Those things might have mattered to the vice president of Bolero, and those things might have mattered to the district deputy of the Knights of Columbus, but to this group of college students, it didn't matter. They wanted to know who I was, what made me tick, what actually motivated my life and my heart. And all of those adult answers that I'd kind of used to protect myself had no value. And I was thinking that the disciples fighting for who would be more important, looking for those positions, and Jesus turning it upside down and saying that we should be more like children, that we should focus our energy more as if we were focused on children. And those were college students, but imagine children, and sometimes just for fun, when I'm at people's houses, I see what the kids think of me. Because I think that children are much more intuitive and direct. And their questions are more important. They really don't care what car you drive. I remember back when I was driving a Chevy S10 single cab, blue, tiny little pickup truck around Gonzales, the kids were like, "Oh, you have such a cool truck, it's so little." But it's because they'd found something in me and in what I brought to the parish that let them think that my truck was cool. I don't think there was a single rancher in Gonzales that thought that that was a cool truck. And if I had wanted some standing and position, I would have needed to spend a lot more on my truck, right? But children, they don't care what you drive. They don't really care what you do for a living. They don't really care. What they want to know is, are they safe in your presence? What they want to know is your heart sincere? What they want to know is whether or not you care about them and care for them and maybe know their name and know something about them, whether or not they matter to you, whether or not their life will blossom in your presence, right? They want to know whether or not you're willing to serve them. And Jesus says that that's who we should welcome. That's whose approval we would receive if we were to receive the Father's approval in heaven. Because God doesn't care either what kind of car we drive or what we do for a living or what important titles we've managed to amass along the way or how many friends we have on social media or who is impressed with our clothes or our haircut, right? Jesus says that the Father is more like a child who wants to know whether our relationship is true, whether or not we really care, whether our smile is just with our lips or if it's also from our heart. And I was forced all those years ago on that mission trip to start to ask myself, who am I really? And what matters to me really? And what is real underneath the clothes? What is real underneath the titles? What is real underneath the respect that I might garnish from adults who want to do business with the Archdiocese? Who am I? And to ask that through the eyes of a child, to let their questions, do you like strawberries? Will you help me or hurt me? How fast can you ride your bike? the questions that children ask might not be all that different than the questions were asked by the Father at the final judgment. And without reducing our Christian journey to a nursery rhyme, it's sometimes helpful to think of prayer a little bit more like recess. It's more fun that way. To think of helping out at the parish a little bit more like building a treehouse. To approach the kingdom as children, but even more importantly, to see ourselves through the eyes of children.